Hello friends and welcome back to the Dork side. I'm the Dork on the road, and as you can see, we've made some progress on the campsite here at the house. I'm the Dork on the road, and I want to be your internet riding buddy, and in this case, camping buddy, so please consider subscribing. Our boy Tim, our friend Tim, who you've seen in a lot of camping videos lately, came over yesterday and unselfishly volunteered to put in 4 hours of work with me to get the bushcraft, and I'm using this in quotes because I'm not a bushcrafter, but the bushcrafty lean-to finished, or at least mostly done, to a functional state. I'm so excited about the way it's turning out. We got so much work done. He kept saying, like, what else do we need to do today? And I was like, I don't know, man, because we just like finished all the plans I had for the whole winter. So there's more to do here up at the campsite, but today I think I'm gonna have a fire, maybe a Mr. Puff Puff, maybe even a little bit of bourbon, and sit up here and enjoy this campsite that we've put together. It is cold today. It's about 35 degrees. We're having unseasonably cold weather. 35 degrees is 3 degrees above freezing. So I'm gonna wanna get a fire going, but Chewy's up here somewhere running around. And let me show you around the shelter, show you the result of the work that we've done so far, and then I'll get a fire going and we can hang out, chat, and chill in my bushcraft shelter. First, the ugly part. This tarp has got to be completely redone, so I just disconnected it. It's not going to work where it was for a couple reasons. One, it's just too big to be hung up with just paracord. It's too big and heavy of a tarp. So I have a much lighter nylon 10x10 tarp that's going to go up and be a semi-permanent part of the structure. And this was an old tarp. It was really a proof of concept. So it's a little ugly. I got to reposition. The poles are on the ground and I got to retie these, but that's all good. The waterproof deck box is now the wood box. It's mostly full, and then we store a few other things in there too, like that little surprise that's coming up in a minute here. So that's in the same spot, but it's going to get moved. I hung a second ridge pole there that I was going to attach a tarp to, and now I'm not sure how I'm going to use it. But the beauty of this place is this ridge pole, which the kid actually helped me hang, and that is about 23 feet long. I had to cut down a tree to get a ridge pole long enough and straight enough, but that forms really the spine of the shelter. Here on the left we have, that's just a pole that is shoved in, supporting that, because I'm just concerned about the weight on top of it. With such a long span of pole, you know, just being held up with paracord, a little bit of support is not a bad thing. Honestly, the shelter kind of looks like a wood shed, a place where you go to a campground and there'd be firewood inside of, which is not the intention, but it's going to do the job. So the reason why I use bushcraft in quotes is you can see on the sides here I've upcycled or repurposed. My stepmom was like, can you come over and help us load up some fence panels, because we're just going to throw them away? And I was like, yeah, totally. So I went over there to help, and I started loading them up, and I was like, man, these would make really good walls for the shelter and to keep me from having to cut down a bunch of logs. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work, so I just grabbed a few and brought them home, and they actually work great. I mean, it's not going to be windproof, but that can be remedied or fixed. Man, that saved me building a 6-foot section of wall, which is really good. It attaches perfectly to the pole here, as you can see. Makes a great place to tie down this extra tarp on this side, because this is the side the wind and rain is going to come from. So there's 2 of those on there, and then around the back, this is just a 10x12 7mm tarp, so I'm hopeful it's going to last the winter. And on the bottom, there's a log tied to the tarp, and I just roll it up to get the slack out of it as much as I can. So that's going to be adjustable and movable. And you see the back side, and one thing I learned halfway through is I should have got black paracord for the structure and saved my orange paracord for like guy lines and stuff that I'm going to run into, because it's just, you can really see how much I use, and it's kind of ugly. But another fence panel on this side, my deer skull I found in the woods, and then up underneath I just went with the rafter system instead of trying to do a solid shelter. So I don't think I need poles all the way across, because we don't get snow here, and if we do, it's about 2 inches. So this will never have to support the weight of anything but that tarp and maybe some rain. The rafter system made the most sense. It was the quickest solution and the easiest way to not have to cut down a bunch of trees. And it's not like I don't have trees, it's just there's not a lot of small ones nearby. All my trees are like 200 feet tall, so finding small ones that are useful for building is proving more difficult than I expected. What the hell is that in that tree? It's like a big nest. Can you see that? Right there? I never spotted that before. I don't know what that is. You always notice new things. I've been out here a lot, and I'm still noticing new things. Obviously, that tree is the other support. I got my chair up here. And then inside, I'm working on a bed / bench, so I'm going to try to do this bushcraft style with the 2 supports, and then that cross beam is what the bed frame, or what the actual bed surface will be attached to. But I have some 2x6s down at the house I'm going to use for that, because it'll be flatter for sleeping on or sitting on, and just easier on my sleeping pad, and it's just easier, it's just faster. So I just got to cut them. They're left over from when they built the deck. Bring them up here, I'll attach them to these logs, and the bench will be done. And I'll have a warm, dry place to store firewood, may even camp in here. I don't know, I've never really been an open air kind of camper. I've always camped in tents. I don't really like sleeping on the ground out underneath the stars. So what do you think? Should I try to do a camp in this? Should I sleep in the shelter and just the shelter? Give that a shot. Could be fun, be an interesting challenge, break new ground for myself. Obviously, I'll still ride the bike up here, so it's still moto camping. It's pretty exciting. You know, it does kind of look like a hobo camp, I'll give you that. But most bushcraft shelters do. So eventually I'm gonna build a nice fire pit up here. I'm gonna dig down, put pavers underneath, and like a fire reflector semicircle wall, because I have a bunch of leftover sort of retaining wall pavers that were here when we bought the house. But I'm not there yet, and I kind of want to play around with placement before I commit to like digging holes and hauling all those pavers up here. So for today, we're gonna use the Bigfoot Bushcraft. This is the XL burner stove. So I liked that other one, the Solo flatpack stove, so much that I asked them if they'd send me this one so I could try it out up here, and they said hell yeah. So this will work great for today. It's much bigger, it's good for cooking on up here, and it'll help me figure out where I want my fire pit. So let's put this together. And you know, if you're interested, I'll put a link to this in the description, obviously. Just like the smaller version, there is a base plate, as you can see here. There is a stove that holds flat, but you unfold it as easy as that. Look, bam, unfolded, and you just clip it into the bottom here, and it keeps it from moving around. Quick and easy. Probably right in the way of that so you can't see it. Okay, attached to the base. Now I can pick the whole thing up. There's a grill that goes on the top for cooking, and it's adjustable. Stoked on that. And then a little sort of grid of, this is cast iron, I can tell, in the bottom, so that your fire can get airflow and ashes can fall through and don't suffocate your fire. So let's put it over here and make a fire net. That's a good size. I'm impressed with the size of this, honestly. You're gonna be shocked to hear this, but using the Bigfoot Bushcraft fire starter. Everyone's always telling me the trick is to pull away, not push the striker forward, but pull the fire steel away. I always struggle with that, but let's try it. Oh, okay, it worked good. You're right. Damn it, I hate it when other people are right. Supposedly that'll keep you from pushing your tinder out of the way. Chewy's here, by the way. He loves the fire. There we go, boys. It's actually hot fire, you dumb. Tune it. And what better way to celebrate a job well done than a little bullet bourbon in a bullet bourbon cup. This is actually a gift from Explore Adventure Moto. And this is the bottle that Tim and I opened when we camped up here. I just left it up here just in case. Neat bourbon for me, and of course, my Mr. Puff Puff. So obviously I have to give a big shout out and a huge thank you to Tim for coming over and helping make this happen. At one point yesterday I was like, did we just transition from riding buddies to actual friends? You're over here at my house like doing manual labor, but he was so into it, man. I couldn't get him to stop. So a good friend, good buddy, and obviously he has an open invite to camp here whenever he wants. Some of you understand completely why I built this and why this is here, and others will be like, why the hell did you build a hobo shack in the woods? Totally valid question. And honestly, it is because what I want is a semi-permanent place where I can get out of the elements in the crappy weather and come have a fire, test camping gear, maybe even sleep in here. But yeah, I have nice tents. Yeah, I have a pop-up. That's not the point of this. I didn't want it to look out of place up here or like there was a bunch of garbage. So I got the green tarp. It kind of blends in if you get really far away or even not too far away. So I can still come camp, set up my tent, and I'll have this area to chill in. The idea is the fire pit's gonna be on the edge here so I can stay out of the rain. The weather always comes from the west, and here for some reason the south. I think it's the shape of the ridge we're on up here. So this shelter, you can't tell, but it is angled mostly west, but with a slight southwest bias. So it's a south-southwest. So it should protect me from any weather. That is the southwest side, so that's why it's got the extra tarp. It's obviously not done, but the idea that I can just grab a cigar, some bourbon, come up here and enjoy some outdoor living without having to get on the bike and drive an hour. You know, test out a product like this fire pit, right? It's no fun to do it in my backyard. I want to do it up here in the wood with all the wood I've harvested. And, you know, I mentioned this in the previous video, but a big inspiration for this for me was Joe Robinette, who has built a fort, right, out on property. In fact, I've been thinking about calling it Fort Dork in sort of honor of that. But just so neat to see his bushcraft shelter kind of come to life and continually tweaking and refining it and rebuilding it. And that's sort of my plan too. This is not the forever design. Obviously, there's still things to do. And for the same reason, it's like where he goes and camps in the winter, right? And we don't get snow, which is nice. It is cold and wet and crappy for months at a time, so it is nice to have a place to get out of all that. But yeah, Chewy and I are gonna chill here for a bit, enjoy a sip and a smoke. It's gonna be good stuff. Hi, bud. No, it's not lap time. You're gonna fall in the fire. Don't even try it. It's gonna burn, bud. Burn, pal. This has been super fun, super cool to get up here and use this. Obviously, this is sort of a low-key video, short video, but I just wanted to show you all the progress and, you know, talk about plans and just enjoy it with you, share it with you. I'm just so excited about it. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you. And please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you. Chewy, can you say thank you? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. That's how pugs talk.